We're going to be putting a very large tariff on chips and semiconductors. But the good news for companies like Apple is if you're building in the United States or have committed to build, without question committed to build in the United States, there will be no charge.
In a bold move aimed at reshaping the global semiconductor supply chain, U.S. President Donald Trump has said the United States will impose a 100% tariff on semiconductor chips imported from countries that do not manufacture in America or have no plans to do so. Speaking from the Oval Office on Wednesday, Trump told reporters the new tariff would apply to all chips and semiconductors coming into the United States.
We're going to be putting a very large tariff on chips and semiconductors, but the good news for companies like Apple is if you're building in the United States or have committed to build, without question committed to build in the United States, there will be no charge. In other words, we're not going to be charging. So a lot of countries, a lot of companies are leaving various other places and they're coming to the United States. So in other words, we'll be putting a tariff on of approximately 100% on chips and semiconductors. But if you're building in the United States of America, there's no charge, even though you're building and you're not producing yet in terms of the big numbers of jobs and all of the things that you're building. If you're building, there will be no charge. So I just want everyone to know that. And I didn't even tell you that inside. We discussed the concept, but I didn't. So it's a big factor. So 100% tariff on all chips and semiconductors coming into the United States. But if you've made a commitment to build, or if you're in the process of building, as many are, there is no tariff. Okay? If for some reason you say you're building and you don't build, then we go back and we add it up, it accumulates, and we charge you at a later date. You have to pay, and that's a guarantee.
While Trump's comments did not constitute a formal policy announcement, they have already sent ripples through global tech markets. The scope of the tariff, how many chips and which nations it targets, remains unclear. Analysts believe China is the likely primary target, especially as U.S.-China trade tensions continue and negotiations on a broader trade deal are still unresolved. Back in 2022, Congress passed a $52.7 billion subsidy package to boost domestic semiconductor manufacturing and research. Under President Joe Biden, the Commerce Department used those funds to secure commitments from all 5 of the world's top semiconductor firms to set up chip factories in the U.S. Despite these efforts, the U.S. only produced 12% of the world's chips in 2024, a sharp decline from 40% in 1990. Meanwhile, other major chip producers, South Korea, Japan, and the European Union, have already struck trade deals with Washington that may shield them from the harshest impacts of the potential tariff.